Hi, let's make some stupid sounds while I play around with my backdrop. Don't worry, it's going to play a part because I could also tell a story. Hmm. So let's start with the various threads. 3-4 weeks ago, I adopted a cat from neighbours. I've got a little kitten called Iggy. He's outside of the kitchen, which is where I'm streaming at the moment. And he's outside the kitchen because he will jump up at the cable for my lav mic, and that will almost inevitably pull this laptop off off the stand where it is and cause all sorts of problems. It'll be entertaining for a few seconds, but so in my job, I work 2 days a week at home and 3 days in the office. And because of my autism, I like it to be predictable. So I work from home Monday, Tuesday, normally. Sometimes that needs to change because Monday and Tuesday are days when I can easily get my floors cleaned on one day and then my kitchen and bathroom cleaned on the other day. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm in the office. Now, those used to be good opportunities to take long walks home, which I can't do as much because I don't like leaving the kitten, Iggy, alone for too long because I'm already out of the house for over 8 hours. And he wants to be fed, he wants to play when I get back. And he is still prone, as I say, to jumping up on things, to jumping up with claws outstretched. So today, got back, played with Iggy for a little while, and of course fed him first. Now, as much as I like a predictable, uh, predictable sort of schedule. Uh, I also have very scattered thoughts, lots of things going on, lots of ideas, lots of novelties that I want to chase. Um, so there's things that I want to mention here that are not particularly relevant to the story. So recently paid a few days ago for last month, so have some money. Ordered a couple of books, which I'm waiting to arrive over the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure there's something else. Let me get back to you on that. Oh, I know. Um, I like to do these sequences of improvisations which are based around a single theme, and I know what my next one is going to be. That's going to be around Spring-Heeled Jack. I've got the books that I'm wanting to quote from all prepared. I kind of have some ideas about where I'm going to film it. What I haven't yet set is a date for when it's going to happen, and then there's all the other unfinished and unstarted projects that I've got kicking around. So, Ah. So I got home, played with Iggy for a little while after feeding him, watched some YouTube because there's at present Iggy is still prone to jump on me when I'm doing anything with my hands because he thinks that's something to play with. So it makes writing difficult, it makes doing other tasks really quite annoying, which is why, another reason why, as well as worry about the cable, why I'm currently shutting him out of the kitchen when I do these streams. Another reason for keeping me out of the kitchen is when I'm making my own dinner or when I'm trying to eat, because Iggy will be trying to eat my dinner despite having just been fed and despite the fact that it may well include ingredients that are not good for little cats. So we're getting to the point very soon. No. Oh. So you will notice that I've got these flags behind me. They're connected to a kind of frame, actually just an upright with some feet to stabilize it, and a cross piece. This is for a green screen. The green screen is actually hidden behind these flags because I don't. It's work that I can't really do at present to actually have something interesting on the green screen behind me. Otherwise, I would be doing it. Also, I'm kind of lazy. So that's the scale of this. And this crossbar is pretty long, certainly longer than my arm span. So it's large. Um, um, poo, pow, poo, 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 Actually, I'm kind of hoping. Currently on my shorts, I've got a kind of insult-coded weirdo whose English spelling is not particularly good, who keeps trying very ineffectually to troll me. I'm rather hoping they're watching this because this is guaranteed to annoy them. It's even less structured, even more unmoored from anything they would recognize or like than most of the shorts they've commented on so far. So, the story that I promised you right at the beginning. Over there is the door to the kitchen. The door to the kitchen opens inwards into the kitchen. This is important. This frame, I'd made my dinner. I'd actually brought my dinner out of the kitchen, but I wanted to keep Iggy out of the kitchen, so I put my dinner out of reach of Iggy, brought this frame into the kitchen. I didn't have it in the kitchen, and went out of the kitchen, switching off the light and closing the door. And as I went out of the door, I could hear the door flick against the end of this cross piece, pushing it slightly out of the way. And I thought, oh, that's not great. So I tried to open the kitchen door, but it was blocked. The end of the cross piece was against the door. The door, and it couldn't move it because the other end was jammed against some wall cupboards over there. I was locked out of the kitchen by my own stupidity. Ha! 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 Oh! Oh! So how was I going to get into the kitchen? Pushing the door. That didn't seem to work. Were there things I could slide in between the door and the frame to try and somehow reach the cross piece and move it out of the way? I mean, not actually that direction, because that would be continuing to block the door, but that way. I had some tools. I had a saw, which was long. I couldn't seem to touch it. Couldn't seem to move it. Something else needed to be considered. There was no access to the hinges on the door. I couldn't do anything about that. There's a window in the kitchen. No way of opening it. I was seriously considering, was I going to have to break a window? Was I going to have to saw a piece off the door? Was I going to have to call the housing association? Was I going to have to call friends? What could I possibly do? More things, bits of wire, bits of plastic jammed in that gap, and still the crosspiece could not be reached. Just to interrupt the story, in 12 days' time, it's my birthday, and several years ago, maybe 10 years ago, yeah, maybe, I, on my birthday, went out to Lancaster, walked out to Sunderland Point. I figured out that the tides allowed me to walk out to Sunderland Point and walk back before the tides cut it off. And that was a fun day. It's not great because the road out there is not designed for pedestrians, it's designed for cars. There's not much of a verge, and there is traffic going back and forth, especially when the tide is out. So, during the time I was shut out of the kitchen, I was playing with Iggy while I was considering all these possibilities of how I might get in. It could, I had visions of it being days before I could get in. My food is in here. What would I eat? What would Iggy eat, more importantly? But I kept trying, kept pushing the door, and I'd already started sort of feeling the door, see if I could locate exactly where the end of the cross piece was. And by constantly pushing the door with one of my hands roughly where the end of the cross piece was, I could feel that it was the end of the cross piece was gradually moving, and it was somehow miraculously moving closer and closer to the edge of the door. And so I carried on. I thought, maybe actually I can clear this blockage just by shaking it so that it moves out of the way of the door. And it worked. It worked. The door opened. I moved the green screen apparatus out of the way so it couldn't block the door any further. And I was in. And and go, go. Now, having finished the story, I was just thinking during the last improvisation sequence of improvised sounds that maybe I should start something else, come up with fragments of stories, something connected or unconnected, that is incomplete, that is left. So you have some thread that has not yet been tied. And I realized there are already threads that I've started that have not been tied. And looking at the time, I think that's way more than enough for this week. Hope you enjoyed this at least in part. Hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you for the next one. All right. Cheers. Bye.